Welcome to Montpelier, Vermont. The capital of the state of Vermont, Montpelier, opens its doors to everybody on this, the 3rd of July, for the 4th of July celebration. My name is Brent Curtis, and I'll be doing a little parade work with you. My co-pilot today is Kathy Apgar from over in the Bristol area. Kathy, welcome aboard.
Thanks, Brent. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me. And here comes our first runners through. Wow.
So the Montpelier Mile is en route right now. Everybody's on the move. And speaking of being on the move, let's talk to Dan Groberg from Montpelier Alive. Dan, welcome.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
Oh, it's great to have you here. Dan, this is an effort of just plain love for you. Let's talk about how many years you've been doing this and your various stages of involvement.
Sure. Well, Montpelier Alive has been working with the city of Montpelier to host events on July 3rd for more than 20 years. And I've been at Montpelier Alive for 4.5 years now. This would have been my 5th event, except we, as you know, had to cancel the last 2 years due to the pandemic.
You know, this is the type of thing that people always think that, oh, that went by smoothly. That must be really easy to put together. Take a minute, if you will, and Dan, talk to us about the preparation that's necessary.
If people don't see the seams, that means we've done our job well, but it takes months and months of planning, big crew of people, staff, and volunteers to make it happen. We start planning really when we budget for the year back in the fall, but in earnest in January planning for this event.
Outstanding. And can you tell me how big the team is that you have putting this together?
Sure. So I have an event coordinator, and then I have a parade coordinator and a vendor coordinator, and then a lot of volunteers and a lot of help from the city of Montpelier.
Oh, that's just wonderful. I'm going to ask you to just shoot this one from the hip, and that is about how many volunteers come together to help put this project on?
We have about 50 volunteers helping us today.
Oh, that is just incredible. Now, I know there's some major sponsors here. Would you like to just discuss the major sponsors?
Absolutely. Well, as you might imagine, it takes a lot to put on an event of this scale, and I'm really grateful, especially for our platinum sponsors, National Life Group, North Country Federal Credit Union, Community National Bank, and Union Mutual Insurance, and also, again, to the city of Montpelier for, in addition to the financial support, tons of time behind the scenes, police officers, public works, fire department, helping to make this happen.
And you know, Dan, the years that I have been here, these names are all just about names I've heard before. You have long-time family of advertisers, don't you?
We do. North Country Federal Credit Union's new this year, and we're very grateful to them for joining us, but a lot of our sponsors have been with us for years and years, and I think it's because they love Montpelier as much as we do and want to be here to celebrate with everyone.
Dan, according to the Vermont Agency of Tourism, this is a very big event for people visiting the state of Vermont.
It is. I've seen people from all over. We usually draw between 10 and 15,000 people to come down for this event, and today it certainly feels like we're near the upper number of that.
I'll tell you what, we hit the beautiful weather today. We had a little rain earlier on, but at showtime it's just about 74 degrees. The sun is just dipping over the horizon. Everybody's in a great mood as these milers come by. And the idea is, how did you plan for this event, and how did you plan to put the run first, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, I ordered the weather specifically, so that came through. You know, some of it is tradition and some of it is new. The biggest change this year was that we had some family performers on the State House lawn in the afternoon. We've had in the past activities or different events, but a really great group of performers this afternoon, and that was a lot of fun. But for the most part, it's a similar schedule to how we've been doing it for a long time.
Dan, let's talk about what happened on the Capitol lawn this afternoon. Give the folks an idea of what the events were and how it all came together.
Yeah, well, my favorite part, of course, is the food trucks. If you love festival food, you will love being here. There's just everything from fried dough to Indian food, really, because it's Montpelier, so we have quite a diversity. And then starting at 2 o'clock, we had some performers on the State House lawn. So we had John Gelmore, who's a local children's musician. We had Karubo, who's an Afro jazz performer from Burlington. And then we had a really fun group, Big Nazo, along with the Providence Drum Troupe. They're from Providence, Rhode Island. And they are they dress up in these crazy, huge alien costumes. It's really a sight to see, along with the drumline. They're going to be in the parade, so you'll see them in a little bit here too.
You know, I thought the best logistical change was moving the food trucks to the Department of Motor Vehicles side and kind of opening up the front of the Capitol. Whose idea was that?
Well, they've been there a few years. We've tried various configurations. Always a balancing act to get as many food trucks to keep the line short and make a great experience for our visitors as well.
Any idea how many food trucks showed up this year?
We have about 30 or 35 trucks total. About 25 of those are food trucks, yeah.
Outstanding. Now, again, great day. People are all excited. The talk around all kinds of media sources is whether or not, with the current political situation across the country, are parades still attractive to the public? My vote is yes. What do you think?
You know, I think, yes, this is an event for Independence Day, but really it's an event to bring the community together and celebrate all we have here in Montpelier and in the state of Vermont. And so, you know, I think there's a lot of valid concern about what's happening in the country, and it's disappointing to me as well. But this is just a great opportunity. If you're down here, you see, you know, your friends and neighbors coming together, and it's about celebrating Montpelier first and foremost.
What I'd like you to do for a minute, if you would, please, Dan, is just stop and reflect on some of the highest points for you putting this program together.
Well, I think the day being here, after you know, checking a million things off the list and finally seeing it come together and having all the people here enjoying themselves, that's my favorite part. Because, like I said, a lot of work goes into this behind the scenes, and you know, our goal is that when you come here, you don't see any of that work. You just have a fun day.
Well, I'll tell you what, Dan. Certainly, in the minds of people from Montpelier and so many people that visit us here, you are an absolute rock star. I congratulate you on a great project, and we're just excited to get this parade underway this afternoon. Again, we have something interesting going on, and that is voting for the favorite performer in the parade. Let's just talk about this, because this was really fun last time we did it.
Yeah, you know, we really wanted performers to up their game and give us their, you know, their best shot. And so Union Mutual joined us to sponsor a competition for the parade performers, and people can text 802-200-0908, text vote to 802-200-0908, and you can vote for your favorite of the people who entered the competition, and the top prize is $500.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I think for people that are not particularly savvy with technology, what they should know is that when you go to this particular location, they're all listed right there for you.
They are. You just send a text message. If you can do that, you'll get a text back, and you just say which letter to vote for, and that's it.
On behalf of those of us who utilize our nephews to help us do our phone, we thank you. Kathy, coming out of the New Haven Junction area, do you have any questions for Dan and on how things work?
So I'm just curious, Dan, how many towns are represented in this effort? Is it all strictly a Montpelier effort?
You know, Montpelier puts on the event, but we have people from all over central Vermont come to this. You know, we intentionally have our event on the 3rd so that we're not competing with some of the smaller towns that do events on the 4th. And so we'll have people from, you know, Worcester, from Uss Montpelier, from Calais. I heard someone was up here from Rutland, so people from all across Vermont really come.
And I thought that was brilliant, by the way. Yeah. You know, we have the Waterbury Parade that's on the 28th of June, which is, wow, that's something. But then I think the idea that doing it on the 3rd, First of all, it's beautiful. It's a Sunday. It's just an enjoyable time. And then you can also add on to it a Monday at wherever you want to go, whether it's Morrisville, whether it's Barrie. But that was some great strategic planning. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully I'll get to go out to the Worcester Parade tomorrow, or maybe the Warren Parade, the world famous Warren Parade.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, you're going to be there tomorrow, Brent, right?
I'll be at Warren, yeah, for Radio Vermont, so that's always a fun one to do right there. Well, you know, Dan, I really appreciate you stopping by today, and if later on you're wandering around, we want to invite you to come back if you would.
Thank you so much for having me, and I encourage people to go on our website, montpelieralive.com, to find out everything we have going on, and if you're so moved, enjoy yourself today, click on that donate button and help support events like this in the community.
Thank you, Dan. That's Dan Grover from Montpelier Alive. Next, we're going to have Larry Seiler come in. Larry?
In the meantime, we're watching the Montpelier milers who have come by us in one direction and then will be turning around. They've turned around and they're headed back towards the state capitol. So we're watching the runners of all ages and having a really good time. Even some people in strollers, some children in strollers, some toddlers running alongside parents, and some older folks like us, Brent, are actually doing the mile.
I'm feeling it right now. I've got the burn, Kathy. I've got
feel the burn.
Next up this afternoon is going to be Larry Seiler. His program is Able and On the Air. Larry, welcome. Nice to have you here.
Nice to have you. It's Able and On Air. Thank you so much for having me speaking today.
Great. Give us an idea what it's all about and what you're doing and some new projects you're working on.
Yes, my wife Arlene and I do a show on Orca Media called Able and On Air, which focuses on abilities, not necessarily the disabilities of people. And we've had a wonderful show on Orca Media. By the way, we want to thank them for helping us out. Since 2015, we've been here in Vermont, and we've been focusing on issues such as autism, many types of interviews regarding people with special needs. And we are sponsored, and we have partnered with many organizations. We are sponsored by Washington County Mental Health, Green Mountain Support Services, and many others, including the partnership of the Division for the Blind of Vermont, and the new project that we are doing in September is a new sports show called Gridiron Sports Talk, which will focus on special needs sports, everything from wheelchair basketball to wheelchair soccer.
That is exciting. Give us an idea how you're setting that up, if you would, Larry.
Yes, how we're setting it up with interviews, and it is news about special needs sports. Special Olympics will be on. Numerous organizations involving special needs sports, including the Wheelchair Basketball Association.
So how do you interact with these other groups, specifically Washington County Mental Health? How does that work out? Do they come in? Do they do interviews?
Yes, they come into the studio. They've done numerous interviews such as art and people with special needs, art and mental health. During COVID, it was really hard for people with disabilities to get services. So Washington County Mental Health has been coming on to talk about COVID and mental health. You know, mental health services are extremely important, especially in today's time and age. And Washington County Mental Health has been at the forefront of those services. And it's extremely important to get the message out that those services do exist. And that's why Able and On Air exists, because of guests that come on the show.
Larry, I want to say thank you very much for being with us today. Look forward to next year and our interview, okay?
Yes, and thank you again to Orca Media that has, it's very important to support people with special needs, especially those that don't have a voice.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me on.
My pleasure, sir.
Thank you.
And once
happy
again, I
4th.
want to welcome everybody back here. We're in the capital of the state of Vermont, Montpelier, and it is time for the parade. How do we know? Well, because there's a police car with blue lights. We want to say hello to the Montpelier Police Department. You can tell just by the sound of the crowd that they're very, very proud of their public safety division. Kathy and I grew up just a couple of streets over. We remember the older officers, Kathy, Sergeant Rock and the crew. Absolutely.
And they were always there to protect, defend, and keep us on the straight and narrow. You know, the bottom line is we all were challenging, but they did it, and they continue to do that. And it was great to see the Montpelier Police leading the parade this year.
Kathy, first up, why don't you take the first one?
Hey, we see our neighbors from Vermont, Montpelier VFW Post 792. They're supporting the past, the present, and the future members of foreign wars. The members of the post and auxiliary love our service veterans. They provide incredible support to all veterans, and we thank them all for their service and their continued presence in this parade.
Kathy, next up is the USS Montpelier.
I just got goosebumps to look at all of these men from the Navy. My goodness.
Well, go ahead, give us some insight on this one, Kathy.
Well, for many years, the USS Montpelier crew has traveled to Montpelier, Vermont, their namesake, to be in this 4th of July parade. And to have them here and to have them travel all the way from Norfolk, Virginia, just for this is really phenomenal. I get goosebumps to see them here and then to see another military presence.
And you know what? That's a great segue, but I just wanted to say thank you to all the members of the USS Montpelier for being here. And we know that they roll out the red carpet for them. And speaking of rolling out the red carpet, how about the 40th Marching Band? Vermont's own 40th Army Band is comprised of everyday Vermonters. They'll be performing tomorrow night at Smuggler's Notch for their 4th of July celebration, starting at 8 p.m. Find out more about the 40th Army Band at the Vermont National Guard. Talk to your local recruiter. Let's hear some music.
You know, Brent, their numbers were not tremendous, but that sound is just wonderful.
Nothing like a marching band.
And to see the military vehicle come through.
Looks like a representative from the National Guard right there.
Absolutely, there they are. They're providing community support and disaster relief in the event of a state emergency here in Vermont. Their mission, the federal mission of the National Guard, is to support active duty Army officers in national emergencies. You can find them on vtguard.com.
One of the major sponsors of the event is coming by right now, and that's the National Life Group. Join National Life at their annual Do Good Fest scheduled for Saturday, July 16th. Do Fest is a great event, and it's free, it's family friendly. It's held on the lawn at National Life. Go to dogoodfest.com. Reserve your tickets. Donations are encouraged but not required. That means it's free. Do Good Fest benefits the Branches of Hope, the Cancer Patient Fund, that is operated at the Vermont Medical Center.
Miss Vermont USA, Team Kelsey and Kenzie Golakar, followed by Bernie Sanders. Welcome, Bernie. Thanks for your service, and quickly followed by U.S. Representative Peter Welch, serving Vermont and Washington, D.C. Both gentlemen do a phenomenal job, and we're proud to have them in this parade and proud to have them represent Vermont in the U.S. Congress.
And following those two gentlemen, we've got Molly for Vermont. Lieutenant Governor Molly Gray is Vermont's 82nd current Lieutenant Governor. Now Molly is running for Congress. Now she knows that our biggest challenges are about to come now. She thinks housing, childcare, and climate change, it won't be solved by Vermont alone. Please visit mollyforvermont.com to learn more. Molly Gray.
And don't forget, keep track of all of the participants today, because you need to text your favorite parade performer, 802-200-0908. And there's Senator Ann Cummings running for re-election.
All right, let's get down, let's get funky here. This is the Big Nuzzo, Province Drum Troupe. 8 larger-than-life size, and whoa, this isn't them, they're coming up right now. 8 life-size aliens. These creatures are robotic characters. They'll interact and improvise with each other and the audience. They're born from pandemic. We are the Providence Drum Troupe, musicians, acrobats, light arts, life-size puppets, you name it, here it is.
Absolutely phenomenal costumes of aliens. They've invaded Montpelier. Following that group is a pro-choice group in Sun Common. The Nuzzo drummers were also doing some dancing around the corner. Can you see their beautiful flags, rainbow flags, waving around the corner and making sure that everybody's having fun?
Well, so far this afternoon, we've had a little bit of everything, and what a great afternoon it is. Once again, I want to remind you that you are watching the ORCA presentation of the 4th of July celebration on the 3rd of July, coming to you from Montpelier, Vermont. You know, I had an interesting time, and I was doing some research about what it was going to cost to do the fireworks. And when we get another minute here, I'm going to definitely chat about that one. But coming up right now, I believe we have Greenlight Real Estate. Now, whether you're considering buying a home, selling a home, or both, the agents at Greenlight Real Estate know this area. They know Montpelier, Barrie, Northfield. They know the real estate in this area, and It's where they all live. That's why they concentrate on this area. They love being here and talking to you about great things that can happen in this area and what it has to offer.
And a sweet little float, Brent. You know, a little toy house with all decked out with bunting and flags and red, white, and blue beads and children on the wagon. So thank you to them for participating. Followed by Ann Watson, who's running. She's currently the mayor of Montpelier, and she's running for Washington County State Senate. She's running on a platform of climate action, protecting working families, and she's looking forward to meeting with each of you and hearing your issues. What's important to you?
You know, what would a parade be, Kathy, without a tractor?
Hey, it's a John Deere.
There you go.
Found it right in Middlebury, Vermont.
So Connor Casey for the House, Kate McCann, Connor Casey are both running for the 2 vacant Montpelier House seats. Kate McCann of Vermont's 2017 Teacher of the Year, also small business owner. Connor Casey is a current Vermontpelier City Councilor and Executive Director of Gun Sense Vermont.
It was a 320R John Deere tractor with a cab on it, in case anybody's really interested in seeing. I think it's going to be the lone tractor.
I think you might be right.
And I just want to take a quick second to thank our production crew here, Finn, Chris, Zach, and Jen, for putting this all together and making sure we look and sound fantastic on this parade day. And here is the Worcester Vermont Historical Society. It says, come to Worcester for an old-fashioned 4th of July. And that's exactly what they'll be doing tomorrow at 11 o'clock. It says Worcester Voices will be performing at 4 o'clock at the Worcester Village Cemetery. Cute float with a cow, featuring the first cow of the parade. Make sure to vote for your favorite parade performer at 802-200-0908. Thank you, Worcester.
Coming up next is Gregory Thayer of Rutland. He's a candidate for the Vermont Lieutenant Governor's position. Thayer is a constitutional conservative, a Republican. His campaign is about we the people with a common sense approach to governing. This is Thayer for Vermont.
And that is a big logging truck he's got there with a grappler on the back. My goodness, it's seen a lot of work. You know, it's always, my kids always used to love to watch the fire trucks, and the fire trucks used to shoot water.
Yeah, I have, and what a great combination, kids and big trucks.
Oh, you bet. And you can hear the music coming here. The Filipino-American Association, active for 4 decades, since the early 80s. They're performing in the parade one of the traditional Philippine folk dances with music called
Winters. Chris is running for Secretary of State. He's going to ensure that the Secretary of State's office remains effective when it comes to elections, voting rights, business registration, and perfection.
I think that Vermont is blessed with a great number of leaders. You know, we saw 2 of them early on. Certainly Bernie Sanders is a profit organization focused on sharing the values of West African culture through workshops, performances in schools, community organizations, and venues. Our goal is to promote diversity through activities, they say. And they are doing wonderful African dance and drumming. Dancers of all ages, isn't it wonderful?
Next up is the Vermonters for Justice in Palestine. Vermonters for Justice in Palestine called for freedom, justice to the Palestinians, human rights, and equality to all.
Hey, and you can't miss those Little League uniforms. What would a Birchfield, Middlesex, Montpelier, Plainfield, and Worcester? It's for all kids ages 4 to 12, and we have to stop and say thank you to their parents.
Has led that crew, and they are knocking it out of the park.
Obviously, there's certainly a group of fans right behind us that are cheering for the Mountaineers. Welcome back.
You know, it's so much fun because they look for our residents for these young...
That here, so that those youngsters playing in the Little League.
Gong. This is an ancient practice to improve mind and body. It's based on exergong. The practice's inner selves shines through in their performance, enriching the lives of all that they touch. Let's take a minute and we'll get a wonderful opportunity to listen to this rhythmic session. And on cue, they stopped playing. And I thank you very much to everyone for that.
Just an absolutely beautiful yellow costume for everyone. And such a peaceful sound. A truly peaceful sound.
Certainly a key to the diversity in this community, and it is just wonderful to see this.
And closely following them is David Zuckerman, a candidate for lieutenant governor, former legislator from Heinsberg. He's running for his old office, and believe it or not, he supports climate action, economic justice, and he's driving yet another tractor, an International. I'm guessing that was from about 1948, 1952 era.
You know, we see David a lot on a tractor during the political season.
Yeah, and I'm sure he uses it at other times as well.
And now, while we have just a pause in the parade, just want to remind you this afternoon that you can vote for your best performer by dialing 802-200-0908. Text VOTE, and then you get to vote for the best performer this afternoon. And boy, that's going to be a great prize. We'll talk about that in just a minute. We got Jared Devald. He's running for state senate. Jared is running to represent Washington County, Stowe, Orange, Braintree in the Vermont State Senate. He is a Democratic candidate in the up-and-coming primary election on October 9th. He comes from and is committed to the working class of Vermont, a nonprofit executive and a former economic developer for the Vermont, he was a director for Vermont. He has been a leader for climate action and a more equitable economy for over 20 years. Kathy, here's something near and dear to both of our hearts.
It is indeed.
As we hear the music echo from the canyons of these buildings.
It just, you know, people either love or hate bagpipes. I happen to be in the love category. The Catamount Pipe Band, players and drummers are playing traditional pipe tunes, and I think the tartan that they're wearing is the McLaren plaid. They're wearing the typical kilt with a sporon in front and playing full bags.
Let's give a listen. Following the Catamount Pipe Band is John Odom, Democratic candidate for Secretary of State.
There's a nice mix of folks there, young and old. And they're followed by Kitty Toll from Danville, Vermont. She's the Democratic candidate for Lieutenant Governor. She is a former middle school teacher. She served in legislature for 12 years. She's running for Lieutenant Governor to be a strong voice for all who call Vermont home. Vote for Kitty Toll.
And again, the number of politicians almost staggering in this particular parade. But as we've mentioned several times, we've got some primaries coming up.
August 9th, Brent. To vote in the primaries in Vermont, if you can't get to your local polling place.
John Campbell from State's Attorneys and Sheriffs right there.
Right, followed by the Girl Scouts.
Girl Scout Troop 30228 is a multi-level troop with girls from Waterbury, Vermont area. The troop is made up of girls from grades 2 through 8. In addition to doing fun activities this past year, they've actually helped out the community by raising money for local homeless shelter, collecting donations for the food shelf and the Humane Society, and making homemade Valentine's Day for the Senior Center. Boy, oh boy, what a great organization.
How very kind. And Holy Toledo, supported by Onion River. Outdoors, just a full contingent of all sizes of bikes. There's an old banana seat bike. I don't know if you remember those. 10-speed bikes, bikes that are being that are, oh, there's a tandem bike with an adult, a child, followed by a child's cart. What a great representation, and there is a bike with the fattest tires. I think that they're just exuding the energy that you can feel from this parade. It's been so exciting to see everybody turn out. Young, old, everybody of different abilities enjoying their time in the limelight here on Main Street and soon to be State Street as they turn the corner. And the Kellogg Hubbard librarians want to kick back and relax, and they spend some time practicing precision drills and having speed shelving competitions. A little of that extreme athleticism is on display. Additionally, they have participants from the summer reading program. You can see the kiddos here. They've made stars and the programs, prizes, challenges all throughout the summer to get these kids reading.
Christina Nolan will be our next U.S. Senator, according to her promo. Christina has already cleaned up the state for you, serving as Vermont's U.S. Attorney, cracking down on statewide opioids crisis. Now she's going to use her law enforcement background to serve Vermont in the Senate. This is Christina Nolan, U.S. Senate campaign.
And Christina does have quite a history of the work that she's done in her previous jobs. Just like all of these people, everybody comes to a job, and it really is a job in politics to make sure Vermont is represented, and they come with a very, very diverse experience and background that they're willing to share. And the next candidate is Charity Clark, running for Attorney General for Vermont. She worked at the Attorney General's office for the past 8 years, as an attorney in private practice before that. She's a native Vermonter. She loves to hike, take pride in knowing the communities in which she was raised, and if elected, she'll be the first female Attorney General in the state of Vermont.
Next up is Bridget Grace for State's Attorney of Washington County. Bridget's running for Washington County State's Attorney, currently Deputy State's Attorney here. She was born and raised in Washington County, looks forward to continue to serve, experienced, dedicated, and a true Vermonter.
And closely followed is Ethan Park. There's a fly-in candidate here for Tess Taylor for assistant judge, but then comes Ethan Park, a candidate for state representative of Washington 4 district that includes Montpelier. He's walking with friends and supporters. The theme for him today is "In freedom and unity, there is hope."
You know, as I look around, the red, white, and blue is all around us. Great shirts, great clothing.
Well, I did my best. You know, I did my best.
Yes, I noticed that.
Red, white, and blue. Yeah,
you've got the colors, indeed. Now Ken Jones, who's running for state legislature representing Montpelier. Ken has been a member of the Montpelier School Board, on the board for Central Vermont Fiber, and co-founder of the Montpelier Energy Advisory Committee.
The Japan-American Society of Vermont seeks to improve cross-cultural understanding and mutually beneficial interactions between Japanese and Vermont individuals. They sincerely would like to congratulate America's birthday today.
Washington County Senator Andrew Perchlik. Washington County Senator is motivated by decades of work in the climate-conscious energy transformation. He was elected in 2018 as a member of the Education Committee. He has advocated for the installation of ventilation system in Vermont schools, federal COVID relief funds, and work to provide substantial school support and programming.
And right behind them, this is becoming a rapid fire with Sarah Copeland Haddensas. She is really excited to be fighting for democracy and for your individual liberties. She is certainly a dynamic leadership. She's proving dynamic leadership and hitting the ground running to fight for Vermonters in ever-changing political climate. She is a candidate for Secretary of State.
And coming right up is All Together Now. Families, people of all ages, dressed in costumes. They're carrying puppets and celebrating their independence.
Right before them, sneaking in before the last candidate was Zach Sullivan, running for state representative in District 5. He's here with an assortment of dinosaurs who wanted to be fossil fuels when they grow up, who don't want to be fossil fuels when they grow up. That's Zach Sullivan for U.S. State Representative. Look at these beautiful cranes, aren't they lovely? They're just floating in the cool breeze. What a gorgeous day for parade.
Indeed it is.
I think they couldn't have planned this better, you know, just to have this weather.
And if there's anything better than watching a parade, it's being in a parade, don't you think?
I absolutely agree. Your heart and soul really get revved up when you hear the drums and you start, who's out this year? And what a great relief it is to be back, fresh air, and watch the energy coming through here. Magnificent puppets here. Absolutely magnificent. In here between the globe and the sun, we've got Green Mountain Self-Advocates.
I like to see the red, white, and blue walking down Main Street.
And here's an Uncle.
Rory has a strong connection to the community he serves and a commitment to justice as our next Attorney General.
And his supporters.
Thank you, my dear.
They're handing out parent and public school teacher and president of the Senate. Becca fought for working people her entire life. She's been a tested leader with a track record of delivering services to Vermonters, and Washington has left behind. She has the experience needed to deliver for Vermonters the integrity, the courage, and the grit that Vermonters need in Washington.
Next up is Jonathan Williams, running for Berry City's next Democratic state representative. He stands for food, economic security, and better infrastructure and equity. And here we go, Kat.
Check out the honeybees. Honeybees Steel Band presents I Will Survive and a fifth Beethoven to raise public awareness about protecting honeybees and other pollinators. Remember to write down this number, 802-200-0908, and vote for your absolute favorite performer in the parade. You might want to wait till it's done, but this one is certainly very thematic. All of the walkers are also all dressed up for it.
Coming up is Erica Reddick, rigorous honesty. Erica was born and raised in Vermont. From a very young age, she knew that her purpose was to make a difference in the community. Erica is running for U.S. Congress.
I think we're about to hear Beethoven's Fifth. Oh, all the bees are laying on the ground at the intersection of State and Main. Oh, and now they've come back to life. You'll be happy to know they've come back to life. And they are doing the Bee Will Alive, Bee Will Survive dance at the corner of State and Main. You know, as I was coming up from State Street, Brent, there was a huge turnout on the Capitol lawn.
Yeah, he was saying there was maybe around 15,000.
Wow, I can believe it. And like the streets are truly lined here in Montpelier. We haven't seen this in many years, and it's absolutely wonderful. Thank you for the treats. Thank you for thinking of us. It's wonderful to see it. It truly is. This is the spirit of America and democracy. And speaking of democracy, here's the League of Women Voters to remind everyone democracy is not a spectator sport. They encourage everyone to vote. Folks can register at their booth on the State House lawn. The League of Women Voters for Vermont.
Interesting that the League of Women Voters has hired private security.
And they're closely followed by, it might not be them, Dissent for Independence in lieu of celebrating a country whose highest court has continued to roll back human rights. They're peacefully protesting the overturning of Roe v. Wade and advocating for the state and federal codification of reproductive rights for all people in this country. That's an interesting dynamic right there. Oh, Brent, this is your music. I can hear your congas coming up at 2 o'clock in the morning. I would just like to remind you that you're the one that gave my oldest son a set of drums for Christmas. It will come come back to haunt you. Jen Kulu, the traditional West African drum and dance corps. Aren't they wonderful? Mike Piacek is a familiar name, running for state treasurer now to follow the retiring treasurer Beth Pierce. Mike has been the commissioner at the Department of Financial Regulation for the past 6 years, and we all saw him during the COVID
and
daily
Mike is
response.
followed by all things LGBTQ. We are a news and interview show aired weekly on Orca Media. Make sure you check that out on the internet as well as on your television 1075, and that is LGBTQ on Orca.
And it also says vote for Brenda Churchill in the back. So here's Brenda for governor.
And of course, everybody wants to be a star once they see the cameras on.
And they're doing a great job.
And coming up one more time for LGBTQ.
I think they sort of get interspersed as things happen in a parade. The vote for Brenda and the LGBTQ folks have sort of commingled at this point. I did not see the Vermont Mountaineers go by there. They were in their little wagon a little while ago. Looks like Anya Tenio is here. What's she running for again?
She is running for the U.S. House of Representatives, and she wants people to know that she wishes all participants and spectators a very happy 4th.
There's those flags. You know, there's just something very heartwarming about flags.
Well, I have to agree with you.
And a respectful display of flags, I think. Everyone here is respectful of one another.
And while we have a pause, I want to remind you to vote for your favorite performer today. And that's going to mean the Union Mutual $500 prize. Call 802-200-0908, text VOTE. You'll get your choices, and by golly, that will be a good thing.
There's a lot of choices, that's for sure. We've got a Jeep Gladiator touting Deploy Malloy. He's running for U.S. Senate, seat being vacated by Pat Leahy, Senator Leahy. Mallory is seeking to serve Vermont and the United States of America. Mr. Mallory is a West Point grad and a retired veteran. He'll support and defend the Constitution.
Come right up is Paul Bean for Vermont. This floats in support of Paul Bean for the Vermont State Senate of Washington County. Vote Bean for traditional values and new approaches.
Nice bright red F-150 XLT with the Apollos in the back. Giving us some live music. There's Jeremy Hansen running for represent Washington County, Braintree, Orange, Stowe, and the Vermont Senate. A particular focus on housing, universal health care, and climate change. Fun for everyone. I'm up for this. Vermont sled hockey. Yay! The Central Vermont Pioneers are folks who love to play hockey and are a sled hockey team made up of Vermonters with physical disabilities. Most of us have some type of physical disability. I know we're very familiar with that. That makes sitting in a hockey sled the only way we can play the sport. This year, they won the New England Sled Hockey Tournament in Springfield, Mass. Woohoo!
Want to give a special shout out to my buddy John McCardle. He is an exceptional athlete, and John and I have been friends for a long time. Next up is Myers Mermel. He's a Republican running for U.S. Senate from Manchester, endorsed by Governor Mike Huckabee. Myers is a conservative who wants to reduce inflation, bring down the price of food, heating oil, and gasoline, while at the same time fighting crime.
Can you hear it? Just listen for those drums, and you're going to hear the fifes any second. I know it. You know, this type of fife and drum corps really harkens us back to the roots of why we're all celebrating July 4th. You know,
Yeah, I agree.
1775, 1776. And when the parade started, it's interesting that when the parades started in Montpelier in the late 1800s, they did them early in the morning, and they always scheduled them for a Saturday so they would never interfere with Sunday church services.
Isn't that exceptional?
It is.
Actually, the first day that the 4th of July was celebrated is, well, we go back to July 1807, and it was called National Jubilee. And now let's give a listen.
The Hannaford Fife and Drum Corps is based in St. Albans, Vermont, named after Captain Nathaniel Hannaford, a drum major in the War of 1812. They exist to keep the history of America alive through music. They are not related to the Hannaford's grocery store, however. I just get goosebumps. I can't help it.
Makes you feel like marching, doesn't it?
It does. It really does.
Coming up next is Patricia Preston, a lifelong Vermonter, Democrat running to become the next Lieutenant Governor of Vermont. She believes in the promise of Vermont, is ready to lead Vermont into the future. She says it belongs to everybody. She'll bring Vermonters together for every corner of our state. This is Patricia for Vermont.
Nice shiny truck with some nice mag wheels on there pulling a hay wagon. Remember to vote for your favorite presenter today, your performer at 802-200-0908. Let them know there are cash prizes available, $500 for first place, $300 for second, and $200 for third. So make sure you hop on there at the end of the parade.
Merrick Moden is a passionate young Vermonter, and he is running for Montpelier's seat in the August primary. He's Montpelier, works on the school board, and City Hall has inspired him to make changes for Vermont youth. This is Merrick Moden.
A young lad, a very young lad. And
here they come.
Here they are. Yeah. And who could possibly not recognize the Mount Si No. 3 Motor Corps? You know, for as long as I can remember, I've always seen the Shriners represent at parades, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, any parade, 4th of July, and they never cease to amaze and entertain children, but they also do all of their work for children.
Whenever I see the Shriners, I'm compelled to talk about a police case where I went to a rather sad apartment building where a little girl had been left alone making breakfast for her brother, and her flannel nightgown caught on fire because they were heating the apartment with the oven. When I got there, my first call was for emergency services. The ambulance arrived, and the ambulance captain said, "Brent, call the Shriners." I put in one phone call to a number that I had kept for 22 years, and everything for that little girl was taken care of. Her family was taken care of. It was the most incredible scenario I can describe, and it's all because of these selfless men and what they do all year long, and it's all about children.
And they support 22 different Shriners hospitals. It's not, you know, I'm very familiar with Boston Shriners Hospital, but there are 22 around the country. And we thank them for their efforts, and so many children and families have lived to tell of the great work that they do.
And you know, if they could have a nickel for every smile that they bring out at a parade, it would really help the whole project.
You know, it's not just the Motor Corps. This is the Motor Corps, but they've got clowns, and they've got, you know, all sorts of popcorn machines, and they go wherever they're asked to go. No, you know, no hesitation, they just go. And if you can see the street here in Montpelier, the Motor Corps is riding down Main Street and stopping to shake the hand of every child along the way, and waving to all of us grown-ups as well.
And there probably half the people in this audience would love to be riding those go-karts.
Oh, you know, wouldn't you like to try it?
Oh, absolutely.
My favorite one was the police car with the, you know, it's a push me pull you, where like one end is going one direction, the other's going the other. I always wondered how they do that. That's the one I want to drive.
And don't forget that the Shriners are responsible for the Maple Sugar Bowl game between Vermont and New Hampshire. Again, all proceeds go to the Shriners Hospital.
They're fearless. I mean, they're driving up and over Mount Zion number 3 Motor Corps. What do you call that? Like a stretch Suburban?
Yeah, absolutely.
they're,
That's a custom Suburban made for them.
Oh, it's huge. It's long and the traditional gold and red of the Shriners.
And you know what? The Shriners just keep on coming.
They do.
They are just, they do not have a small footprint in any parade because when they're called, they turn out in force. And that's what we have here today.
And kudos to again to the Montpelier Live Committee for putting this all together. This is huge, and it's, you know, this is your 50th class reunion from Montpelier High School this year, and this really harkens back to the time when we were kids here, and there was such a presence of neighbors and friends and support for everyone's opinions and support for being American. And that's really what this has been about today.
You know, I took some time to do some research on fireworks, and this year with the cost increases, I was fascinated. The normal $10,000 to $12,000 fireworks package that cities like Montpelier use, this year I've got to just double check because this year it's up 350% in $40,000 to $40,000.
Wow.
That's how much the increase has been for fireworks. Well, speaking of fireworks, that's going to come up later on tonight. But as for us here today, on behalf of all of us here at Orca, I want to thank you, Kathy, for being here.
Thank you.
My lovely sister, it's just magnificent to be able to share time with you and certainly do it when we're doing something fun together. So, once again, thank you for tuning in today. Kathy, any last words?
Happy 4th of July and freedom for all.
Happy birthday, America. So long for now.